The morning after I had drunken sex with my childhood friend. He leaned against the headboard, smoking a cigarette, his brows tightly furrowed as he looked at me. My hand, halfway through putting on my clothes, froze. I glared back at him. Adults, mutual needs, helping each other, don't expect me to take responsibility for you. Lucas let out a sigh of relief, though his expression remained a little odd. Are you sure? Once I walk out that door, I'm not taking any responsibility either. TCH. I sneered. It was just the alcohol last night. Lucas, you're really not my type, and I already have someone I like. Lucas froze. Who? Leonardo. Chapter 1. Lucas's face changed. He threw the covers off himself. I glanced at him casually. There were still red marks on his abs from where I had scratched him, and his neck was in an even worse state. I had to admit, the guy had the body, the stamina, and brute strength that just wouldn't run out. He really did make me feel good. It's just a shame. I wasn't sure if I'd get to enjoy it again. Maybe I was staring too blatantly, because Lucas shot me a glare. What are you looking at? Then, suspiciously, you really like Leonardo? I looked away. Of course, he's good-looking, gentle. Who wouldn't like him? Lucas still didn't believe me. When did you two even interact? Why don't I know about it? Are you lying to me? I smiled as I turned my gaze toward Lucas. Why would I lie to you? Lucas opened his mouth, but the words he almost blurted out got swallowed back down. He pressed his lips into a tight line, his eyes staring at me darkly. He probably wanted to say it, because the one I like is you. We were childhood sweethearts. We promised to get into the same college. He said once we did, we'd be together. But once we got into college, the dazzling new world had him completely distracted. He started to act hot and cold toward me. To others, he'd only say I was the girl he grew up with. Someone joked, so is she the little sister he grew up with? Were the childhood fiancé arranged since they were kids? At that time, he was getting flirty with the campus belle, with a stiff face and a cold tone. He said, "Don't talk nonsense. Autumn and I are more like family." That day, I showed up late and just happened to hear that line, and I thought, the meat I raised since childhood. If I don't eat it myself and let someone else have it, that's just a waste. I had to be the one to take his first time. Chapter 2. As if remembering something, I couldn't hold back a laugh. Actually, my connection with Leonardo goes deeper than you think. I raised an eyebrow at Lucas. I'm telling you, but don't let Leonardo find out, he might get mad. My soft, affectionate tone made Lucas frown so hard he could have crushed a mosquito between his brows. And I fell into the memory. It was the first day of the semester. Do you remember I called you? Said I was bringing some lychees to your dorm? You told me you weren't there and asked me to leave them on your desk. But when I opened the door, Leonardo had just come out of the shower. Right now, I really wanted a cigarette. Eyes half closed. I recalled that moment. His face flushed red, clutching the only towel he had, trembling as he tried to cover his essential parts. His eyes were misty. It made you want to reach out and rub the corners of his eyes until they turned red. Of course, I wasn't that insane. I placed the lychees down, turned, and walked away, even thoughtfully closed the door behind me. Just as it was about to shut, I whispered, "Nice body, pink, soft, very cute." As I continued speaking, Lucas's breathing grew heavier. He clenched his fists tightly. And do you know that Leonardo is into Elise? Chapter 3. I knew. Of course I knew. Just like Lucas and I were childhood friends, Leonardo and Elise were childhood friends too. And yes, Leonardo liked Elise. But doesn't Elise like you? Lucas, help me out. Be my wingman. Help me win Leo over. Lucas's face instantly darkened. He stared daggers at me without saying a word. A sudden knock came from the door. Neither of us moved, until Lucas's phone started ringing. He snatched it up, furious. But when he saw the caller ID, all the anger instantly vanished, and I understood right away. It was Elise. Hey, Elise. Lucas turned his back to me, his voice suddenly soft and gentle. I suddenly recalled something I'd overheard that day. If you like Elise so much, why aren't you dating her already? Lucas had said, when you really like someone, You want to cherish them. I want to give her the best dating experience. No rush. Take it slow. What about Autumn? Don't bring her up again. She keeps clinging to me. It's annoying. I was too young to understand back then. It wasn't until I met Elise that I realized what real love is. Love. Huh? What a cheap word. On the other end of the line, Elise's sweet voice came through. You're not home? I knocked, but no one answered. Lucas froze, then turned to look at me, sharply. That look, it could have turned me to ash. I immediately got it. Without him saying a word, I quickly tidied up the battlefield, grabbed the trash bag, picked up my coat, and darted into the bathroom. Right before closing the door, I shot him a raised eyebrow and blew him a kiss. Mutual help. Next time it's your turn. Chapter 4. Lucas's face turned pitch black. He stared at the bathroom door, unsure whether he should be thankful or grind his teeth in frustration. Anger burned in his chest. The knocking on the door became more urgent. He gripped his phone, threw on a shirt to cover the marks, and went to open the door. Elise's bright smile appeared behind it, but when she saw Lucas's expression, she froze. Did I interrupt something? Lucas blinked, caught off guard. What are you talking about? Elise lowered her head. Luna said she saw you coming home last night with another girl. I told her she must have been mistaken, but now, it looks like she was right. Never mind. I'll leave now. Sorry for disturbing you too, though that's what she said. Her voice was full of grievance, with a hint of a sob. Lucas finally processed what was going on. He grabbed Elise's hand and pulled her into the apartment. He smiled helplessly, but his tone was gentle. Look for yourself. Do you see anyone else? I just woke up. I'm still groggy. What? Checking up on me early in the morning? Are you jealous? Sitting on the toilet, I listened to Lucas's greasy tone while texting him. You sure you used protection every time last night? Just in case. I'm going to buy a morning after pill. Kinda urgent. Hurry up and get her out of here. Just as the ding-ding-ding of messages started coming through, Elise was blushing, lightly patting Lucas. What nonsense are you saying? Stop teasing me. Lucas felt the warmth of her touch on his arm and was still dazed. He picked up his phone and glanced at the messages, and his face fell immediately. Gritting his teeth, he typed one word back, wait. His sudden distraction made Elise frown again. She bit her lip. What's wrong? Did something happen? Maybe I should go. Lucas gave a low grunt. Elise froze. Her eyes instantly reddened as she turned to leave in frustration, but Lucas stopped her. He grabbed a jacket. I'll go with you. Her mood lifted and fell like a roller coaster. But in the end, Elise didn't resist and let Lucas lead her away. Chapter 5. As soon as I left the apartment, I called Leonardo. His breath was short and he sounded a little winded. Hello, Autumn? What are you doing? Playing basketball at the gym. Can I come watch? Leonardo paused. What? Not happy to see me? No. It's just, this place is full of guys playing ball. It's noisy and it smells. I was afraid you wouldn't like it. I don't mind, really. Okay, then come on over. Right after I hung up, I saw a missed call from Lucas. I didn't call him back. Less than a minute later, he called again. Where are you? His tone was sharp. On my way to the gym. You're not going back to the dorm to rest? What are you doing at the gym? Leonardo's playing basketball there. I said it casually. Silence fell on the other end. He tapped his fingers against his leg for a few seconds. Then I asked, are you calling to check if I took the pill? Don't worry, I'm headed to the pharmacy now. I'll take a photo to prove it. Lucas's breathing suddenly grew heavier. That's not what I meant. I used protection. You don't need the pill. It's not good for your health. I hummed in response. Then I'll hang up. On the way, I bought some iced water and cold drinks. When I got to the gym, Leonardo's teammates swarmed me and took everything. Thanks. Sister-in-law. What? No, don't say that. I'm not with Leonardo like that. We're just friends. I beat Leonardo to the explanation, smiling as I waved them off. They laughed and said they understood, but the teasing in their eyes didn't fade one bit. Leonardo shooed them away with a scowl. I pulled out another bottle and handed it to him. I know you don't drink cold stuff, so I brought a room temperature one just for you. Leonardo paused. His gaze toward me a bit complicated. He tightened his grip on the bottle and said, "You don't have to do all this." I heard the hesitation in his voice. I raised an eyebrow. Don't have to? But wasn't it him who came close to me first? Now he says things like this? How interesting. Chapter 6. I still remember that day. A message from an unfamiliar number invited me to meet at Lover's Lake on campus. That lake didn't originally have a name, but beside it, there was a small, tucked-away pavilion with a bend, elegant, quiet, with a romantic vibe. Many couples liked to meet there, and over time, it earned the name Lover's Lake. That day, after receiving the message, I went. The first person I saw was Lucas, backlit by the sun. Elise sat while he stood. "Do you really hate me?" Lucas asked. Elise's voice was muffled. "Shouldn't I be the one asking? Are you and Autumn really just childhood friends? I don't like it when the person I like has any close sisters around." Lucas let out a sigh. He pulled out his phone and tapped on it a few times, then held it out in front of Elise. "Is this good enough? This? What?" I pulled out my phone. Oh, he'd blocked me. Fantastic. As I looked down, someone suddenly approached from behind. A warm, broad hand reached over my eyes, covering my sight. My lashes brushed across his palm. The hand trembled slightly. Instinctively, I was ready to elbow whoever it was. Then he spoke. "Don't look. It's dirty. Autumn. Stop liking him. If you'd just turn around, you'd see. Someone else has been looking at you like that all along." A familiar voice, so full of affection, barely restrained emotions, brimming with unspoken desire. It was Leonardo. If I hadn't seen with my own eyes how, after Elise had fallen asleep, he gently brushed her hair aside and stared at her with a painful, lovesick expression, I might have believed him. I got into college with a 149 in math on the college entrance exam. Solving problems is what I do best. I analyze the given conditions, construct reasonable hypotheses, and deduce step by step within a logical framework. Even if the answer is unexpected, as long as the process is valid, then it's still the correct solution. So, in a matter of seconds, I'd already figured out exactly what Leonardo was trying to do. I pulled his hand down. "So who should I be looking at?" "You. I like good boys. Will you behave?" "Sure. Healthy love brings joy and comfort, but twisted relationships? They make your blood race." Chapter 7. On the court. Testosterone was dripping with sweat. I've always thought men, despite all their flaws, are quite amusing creatures. They're just a little too unrestrained toward the world. As if, whenever they want, they could take control of everything. That kind of arrogance is oddly fascinating. And watching them flaunt that arrogance, it's entertainment in itself. A three-point shot, Leonardo landed steadily. I quickly clapped along, playing the part. Just then, someone called for a timeout. Elise walked over and sat beside me. "Autumn, what are you doing here?" "I'm here to watch Leonardo play." "Leonardo? Are you too close?" I turned my head, looked at her surprised face, and blinked. "Pretty close, I guess. I'm chasing him." "Oh, by the way, you two are childhood friends, right? Do you know if he already likes someone?" I'd hate to be a homewrecker. Stealing someone's man. Elise froze like stone, her face visibly twisted. She went pale, then flushed. "He wouldn't. He really has someone he likes." "Who? Is it someone from high school?" Elise took a deep breath and forced out a smile. "No, he doesn't like anyone." "What are you two talking about?" Leonardo jogged over, a tall 6-footer, but the look on his face gave everything away. Was he worried I'd bully Elise? Or afraid I'd said something to her? "Nothing really. I asked Elise if you like someone. She said no." "Leonardo. Is that true?" Leonardo looked at Elise, disappointment unmistakable in his eyes. Then, almost bitterly, he said, "Yeah, I don't like anyone." Now it was Elise's turn to look upset. Watching the expressions shift on both of their faces, I was thoroughly entertained. Lucas walked over with the basketball in his arms. Poor guy, under the blazing sun. He hadn't even changed out of his jersey, just to hide the marks. "What are you all talking about?" He was slightly taller than Leonardo. Where Leonardo was calm and gentle, Lucas was wild and unruly, standing side by side. Their contrast in style and aura made choosing between them feel nearly impossible. Nothing much. Yeah, nothing. Elise chimed in. Her face changed again, like a paint palette knocked over, colors everywhere. She glanced between me, Leonardo, and Lucas, clenching her fists. She forced a smile. Elise wants to go after Leonardo. Lucas, what do you think? Should I help her? Lucas snapped his head toward me, eyes full of fury. Leonardo lowered his gaze. He shrugged off Lucas's hand and muttered, "I'm heading back in." Before walking away, I sighed. Elise, you shouldn't say things like that. Elise saw her opening and instantly put on the pitiful act. But it's you who, I chuckled. You can't scare him off. If he gets too embarrassed to even face me, how am I supposed to keep chasing him? Chapter 8. I caught up to Leonardo, grabbed his arm. His face was tense, and just as he was about to shake me off, I whispered, "Elise is watching." Leonardo froze. The way he looked at me was a mix of alarm and a hint of fear. I stood on tiptoe, holding onto his shoulder, despite his slight resistance, stepping back as if trying to avoid me. I continued, "I know you like Elise, but you're too close to her. She can't see how great you are. Want me to help you? Of course. Not for free. I'll take a little interest as payment." He turned his head abruptly, trying to look at me. I didn't flinch. I leaned in and pressed my lips lightly against his cheek. Just a second, but enough for the warmth to rush from his face all the way to his ears. "You." His eyes began to mist up again. I blinked slowly. That wasn't payment. That was the first step of my help. Chapter 9. One kiss. Elisa's face went pale. Lucas exploded. He stormed over and shoved Leonardo aside. "What the hell are you doing?" I frowned and stepped in front of Leonardo. "What are you doing?" Lucas stared at me in disbelief. "You're protecting him? You're the one being unreasonable. Autumn, have you lost your damn mind? What's your relationship with him, kissing him like that? And what's that got to do with you?" My indifferent tone made Lucas laugh, more from rage than amusement. "Nothing to do with me? Autumn, don't forget, last night." "Lucas!" I cut him off sharply. "Think carefully before you finish that sentence." At this point, Elisa's face had gone beyond merely bad. Her eyes darted between Leonardo and Lucas, over and over, until finally, she covered her face and ran away, crying. Lucas snapped back to reality. It was like something clicked in his mind. He turned and bolted in Elisa's direction. Leonardo clenched his fists, then let them go, expressionless. He returned to the court. By the time he remembered that I was still there and turned to look for me, I was already gone. Chapter 10. Early in the morning, I waited downstairs by the dorm. In my hand was a bag of freshly bought breakfast. When Lucas came down, his face was full of annoyance. It had been 3 days since that day. Just standing there like an idiot? Do you not know how to call me? Or are you incapable of texting? What did you buy? Soy milk? You know I don't like soy milk, whatever. I stepped away from his reaching hand. I know you don't like soy milk. That's why it's not for you. Lucas's face tensed. I smiled sweetly. And besides, I'm not here for you. It's your roommate who won't let me explain. Lucas's gaze darkened. He took a deep breath and spoke slowly, word by word. "You're not here for me. Then who are you here for?" "Me." Leonardo's voice came from behind. He jogged over, took the bag from my hand, and slung my backpack over his shoulder. "Sorry I'm late coming down." "It's fine. Let's go. Shall we head over now?" "Yeah." He gave Lucas a polite, subtle nod. "We'll be off then." Behind me, I didn't look back to see Lucas's expression. I only knew his heavy gaze stayed pinned to me the whole time. "Lucas is still watching," I said. Are you using me to provoke him?" Leonardo's expression was unusually serious when he asked that. Tentative, a little nervous. I raised an eyebrow. "You think I'm trying to provoke him?" He dodged the question. "Didn't you always really like him?" I let out an "oh," then asked casually, "How do you know I liked him that much?" Leonardo stiffened slightly. "Everyone. I mean, I just assumed." I curled my lips into a faint smile and didn't push further. Leonardo scratched his head awkwardly. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but I don't like being used. I stood on tiptoe and gave his head a gentle pat. All right, be good. I'm not using you. Leonardo froze again. By the time he snapped out of it, I was already walking ahead. He caught up after a moment. What do you mean by that? His ears were red again. I looked at him seriously. Leonardo, I do want to help you, because I really appreciated it when you covered my eyes in that humiliating moment. I know you don't like me. You're just too kind. And the payment I mentioned? Just stay with me for a while. Help me forget about him. Chapter 11. At the library. I put on my glasses and immediately dove into my theory assignments. These past 3 days, it's not that I didn't want to contact Leonardo. I was just way too busy. My senior had already given me a thunderous scolding after I spent the whole night out messing around with Lucas. But there was nothing I could do. Between my advisor's research project, the group experiment, and all the other stuff I had to prep for, the pressure was enormous. If I didn't vent somehow, I was scared I'd go insane. Leonardo seemed out of it, clearly distracted. I didn't bother him. Only when I got a bit thirsty did I shyly ask, "Can you get me a glass of water?" Leonardo's dull gaze instantly lit up. Sure. He grabbed my thermos and headed off without hesitation. Thoughtfully, he brought back warm water. Later I asked him to help me find a few reference books and download some papers from the university database. Gotta admit, having someone help really boosts efficiency. When I finally took off my glasses and looked over at him, he sat up straight like it was a reflex. Anything else I can help with? I smiled a little, embarrassed. You've helped me a lot today. Can I treat you to dinner later? Leonardo opened his mouth, just about to respond, when his phone rang. He looked down and froze. He didn't pick up, but he didn't hang up either. Is it Elise? It's not. Leonardo denied it instantly. I nodded, understanding. You don't have to answer right away. Let her stew a bit, only then will she realize how important you are to her. And what if she realizes I'm not that important at all? My gaze was gentle. Leonardo, what you need is a result. But I can't promise that the result will be the one you want. In an instant, all the tension in Leonardo's body seemed to deflate. The phone paused for 3 seconds, then started vibrating again. I looked away and said calmly, "Of course, if you can't let go, that's another story." Finally, Leonardo stood up and walked out. His steps quickened as he made his way into the hallway outside the study room. "Hello, Elise." I didn't know what she said on the other end, but he stayed quiet the whole time. After several minutes, his voice came, low and hoarse. "But, wasn't it you who told me to get close to her? You said Autumn's presence made you feel unsafe, that you were scared." At that, I curled my lips in disdain, then packed my things, and left the library. Chapter 12. Leonardo called me while I was in the lab. My senior kept sneaking glances at my neck. I was speechless. "There's nothing, seriously," she responded with a flat, emotionless "oh." A moment later, she drifted over again. Did it work? I was recording data and didn't catch it clearly. Huh? Men, are they effective? I finally looked up at her. What are you trying to do? Her eyes were completely lifeless. The pressure lately is insane. I need to blow off steam. Oh. I thought back to that night, intense, thrilling. The brain is an overloaded circuit. Orgasm is the fuse blowing. The law of entropy, from orderly tension to chaotic bliss. In short, yes, they work. They're good. And worth using again. We nodded in mutual understanding and went back to our experiments. By the time I left the lab, night had already fallen. Leonardo had called me several times. Only 2 messages. "Where are you? Are you mad at me?" I didn't reply. Instead, I scrolled through the rest of my chats and group messages. When I reached the ground floor, I noticed someone sitting on a bench in the shadows. At first, I didn't think much of it until he stood up and walked toward me. My hand slid into my pocket and wrapped around the tactical flashlight. Over 1,000 lumens. Strobe mode, enough to cause temporary blindness. But I didn't get the chance to use it. He spoke first. Softly. "Autumn." It was Lucas. "What are you doing here?" He didn't answer. Stayed silent for a long time. long enough that I started to lose patience. Then he said, "Are you cutting me off?" That came out of nowhere. "Why would you think that? Aren't you?" "You," defended Leonardo. "You've been cold to me. You ignore me. You don't reach out. Isn't that what it means, to cut someone off?" I hesitated for a few seconds before cautiously saying, "Leonardo's the one I'm pursuing. You're just a friend. Shouldn't I be treating him better? Aren't you overreacting a bit? You're not still hung up on that night, are you?" His breathing caught, then turned sharp and heavy. He grabbed my hand. "Yeah, I haven't forgotten. I can't forget." I let out a neutral "oh" and pushed him off. "Then figure it out and forget it." Sigh. Bit of a shame. Honestly. Looks like I won't be getting a second round with Lucas after all. Chapter 13. I had 2 drinks at a quiet bar. That tipsy state, perfect for sleeping. Finally, I pulled out my phone. I replied to Leonardo, "If you don't want to continue our deal, just let me know in time." Less than 30 seconds later, almost instantly, he replied, "I don't." Smirking, I sent him my location. "Wanna come have a drink or two?" Leonardo showed up quickly. He must have run. He was still catching his breath. The moment he sat down beside me, the air around him was warm. I scooted a little farther away. He was radiating heat. "What do you want to drink?" "My treat." Leonardo blinked at me. "Are you mad at me?" I blinked back at him. "Why would I be mad at you?" He didn't answer. I laughed and ruffled his hair. This time, he actually lowered his head a bit. "All right. I'm not mad. I just didn't want to make things hard for you. Elise probably doesn't want you getting too close to me, and you don't want to upset her either. What about you?" Leonardo looked at me. Those eyes, so beautiful, like stars, the kind that made you want to fall in and drown. "Me? I'm fine. If you don't hang out with me, I can still be on my own. I'll stay with you." Leonardo's voice was soft. I heard him, but pretended not to. "What did you say?" He looked at me seriously. I said, "I'll stay with you." "Well then, perfect." He had a couple more drinks with me. On the way back to the dorm, I suddenly stopped. "Wait, I still have a few foreign language papers I haven't translated." Leonardo held me back, half laughing. "You're in the state and still thinking about translations?" I shook my head. "I have to. They're due first thing in the morning. And I totally forgot." "What do I do?" Leonardo avoided my gaze. "I'll do them for you." "Really?" "Of course." I threw my arms around him, beaming. "You're the best. The absolute best." Leonardo's body stiffened. He muttered softly, "I'm not as great as you think I am." I leaned against his cheek and shook my head. "No, to me, you're the best there is. My mom always says, if I wanted to, I could sweet talk someone back into the womb. I've never agreed with that. What I do isn't sweet talking. It's called providing emotional value. He's happy. My assignments get done. Win-win. Mutual benefit." Chapter 14. Leonardo and I were getting closer and closer. Now it was his turn to wait for me downstairs at the dorm and bring me breakfast. He was practically becoming my assistant. All the tedious, repetitive, meaningless tasks, he did them all for me. He'd even gotten used to carrying my bag and holding my water bottle. I didn't know what the situation was between him and Elise anymore, but I did know that lately, Lucas had become a ticking time bomb. He hadn't contacted me, hadn't come looking for me, but he did invite me to his birthday party. "If you don't show up, we're officially done." What a hilariously weak threat. I frowned just reading it. Reminded me of when we were kids. He'd press his 2 index fingers together, run up to me huffing and puffing, and demand I chop them off. That's how we'd break up as friends. So I really did chop. And he ended up crying from how mad he got. How is it that he grew up, but still does the exact same things? Speechless. But honestly, I didn't have the time. I had multiple course papers piling up. One of my professors even asked if I was aiming for a buy one get one free special. I shamelessly asked, "Can I do that?" The professor smiled warmly. "Get out." So I buried myself in the study room, detached from the mortal world. By the time I drifted back to the dorm like a ghost, Elise was in the hallway, being fawned over with a flushed, bashful expression. When she saw me, her eyes lit up. "Autumn!" Where were you? Today's Lucas's birthday, you didn't come? Busy. Really? I don't believe you. Oh, believe it or don't. Probably the first time I ever snapped at her, she clearly wasn't used to it. She bit her lip. Autumn. Don't be like this. I know you're upset. But you can't force feelings. Lucas and I. She kept yapping. I had no idea what she was even saying. Tired. Tired. So freaking tired. I brushed past her and walked toward my dorm. Suddenly, Elise grabbed my arm. Autumn. Lucas confessed to me. We're together now. He's my boyfriend. So please, stay away from him. She said it loud enough for the whole hallway to hear. Everything went quiet. Some people looked at her, some at me. I pinched the bridge of my nose. How far is far enough? Want to take him and immigrate to another galaxy? And with that, I turned on my heel and walked back out. Elisa's face turned livid. Where are you going? You're not seriously going to. Yup. Going to find Leonardo. Of course. I wasn't actually going to find Leonardo. I headed to the lab to grind through the night, because I knew there was no way the dorm would be peaceful tonight. What I didn't expect was just how chaotic it would get. Chapter 15. Because of my sudden departure, Elise grew more and more anxious. Eventually, she went to find Lucas. Did Autumn come to see you? She asked. No. Why? Lucas replied. Elise froze for a second, then shook her head quickly. It's nothing. I'm going back to bed. But Lucas didn't let it go. What do you mean? Autumn came to see me? What happened to Autumn? What's going on? What did you say to her? She's not in the dorm? Where did she go? Answer me. When Lucas starts yelling, it's absolutely earth-shaking. Elise was terrified. She stared at him blankly before suddenly bursting into tears. Leonardo happened to walk into the dorm at that moment and saw the whole scene. He rushed over, shielding Elise as he confronted Lucas. What did you do to her? Lucas acted like he didn't even see Leonardo. He just kept staring Elise down. What happened to Autumn? The moment he said my name, Leonardo froze too. Autumn? What about her? Seeing both of them react like that, Elise completely broke down. You both care about her. She's all either of you ever think about. Then why pretend to care about me? Lucas lost all patience. He grabbed Elise by the neck. I'm going to ask you one last time. What happened to Autumn? Elise was so scared she shook her head again and again. I don't know. I don't know. She said she was going to find Leonardo. And Leonardo? Leonardo was already calling me. Phone off. He pressed his lips together tightly. I haven't seen Autumn. Just like that. Both their expressions changed instantly, but in slightly different ways. Because in that moment, they both realized, after hearing about Lucas and Elise getting together. I left the dorm to go find Leonardo. Chapter 16. I went viral. One night missing, suddenly. I was everywhere. Leonardo and Lucas turned the whole campus upside down looking for me. They checked security cameras, contacted professors, even filed a police report. Early in the morning, before I was even awake, a crowd burst into the room with a huge commotion. Leading the charge was Hat Uncle, the campus security officer. Behind him were Leonardo, Lucas, and a bunch of others. My eyes hurt like hell. I could barely open them. Based on experience, it was probably a sty, caused by eye strain plus some kind of bacterial irritation. No treatment needed. At most 48 hours, it'd heal on its own. My brain was still lingering in fragments of last night's dream. Leonardo broke through the crowd first. He rushed to my bedside, dropped to his knees, and pulled me into his arms. Lucas's face was like thunder. He lowered his head, turned, and walked away. I looked at my senior sister, confused. She pointed a thumb across her neck, meaning, you're dead. I was dead, but before dying, I still had to cooperate with the police and give a statement. After a simple account, one of the officers narrowed his eyes and studied me. Why didn't any of the security cameras capture you at all? A while ago, I did an optics experiment on campus, testing blind spots and the camera's field of view. I've walked those paths so many times. Muscle memory just kicks in when I think. After sending the officers off, I began cleaning up the chaos. Leonardo didn't say a single word, just stayed by my side. helping quietly. Once everything was back in place, it was time for me to head to my advisor and beg for forgiveness. Just as I was about to dismiss Leonardo, he rasped out, "Don't cry." I wasn't crying. It was the sigh, reflexive tearing caused by pain. "I know you still like Lucas. If you really can't let him go, I can help you." And how would you help? Maybe he didn't expect me to actually ask. Leonardo's head snapped up. His eyes turned visibly red at the corners, choking back his voice. He said, "I'll go confess to Elise. I never told her directly that I liked her. Maybe she'll say yes." Ugh, boring. So that's still his one and only move? But for meat I haven't fully claimed. I maintained the bare minimum level of perfunctory courtesy. Just as I raised my hand, he leaned his head in. I gave it a gentle pat. "It's not because of him. It's because of you. I was afraid you'd feel sad, and I didn't know how to comfort you. I was also scared that once I was no longer useful, you wouldn't want to see me anymore. None of this has anything to do with Lucas. So, are you still going to confess?" Leonardo literally forgot to breathe. His face flushed bright red. He shook his head, once, twice, over and over. I was very satisfied. Gave his head another rub. "Then be a good boy and wait for me. I'm going to be super busy today." Chapter 17. Busy? I couldn't help but ask AI, "Is there a word more busy than busy?" It answered, exhausted. Beautiful. Leonardo was waiting for me beneath the shade of a tree. I rested my forehead against his chest. "So tired. Want me to carry you?" Lying on his back, rocking gently with each step. It was genuinely healing. My chin rested on his shoulder. In a low murmur, I whispered, "Can you nap with me? I want to rest my head on your abs." Leonardo's ears turned scarlet. He replied with a muffled, "Okay." I didn't seduce the blushing virgin boy. At least, not this time. I really just slept. No idea if he slept well, but with those abs as my pillow, I definitely did. Research shows that when two people engage in physical contact, their relationship tends to escalate quickly due to hormonal and neurochemical responses. Leonardo was living proof of that theory. All morning, he trailed behind me like a clingy golden retriever. As he put on his jacket to leave, a small box slipped out of his pocket. I picked it up, ultra-thin. Zero sensation condoms. Leonardo didn't stop me in time. He froze on the spot, his whole body turning red like a boiled shrimp. "So that's what he bought last night when he went out for snacks and drinks. Planning to use it?" "No," he blurted. I chuckled lowly. "I was really exhausted last night. Next time, okay?" Leonardo shut his eyes in despair. After a long pause, he let out the softest, barely audible, "Okay." Chapter 18. Leonardo and I parted ways at the campus gate. He didn't have class in the morning, but I did. He wanted to walk me there, but when I saw how red his eyes were, like a little bunny, I urged him to go back and rest. Before leaving, I gave him a kiss on the cheek. Then I turned around and saw Lucas. His eyes were dark and heavy as he stared at me. "Where were you last night? Did you get a room with him? Did you sleep together?" "Autumn, are you actually this cheap?" I looked at Lucas, confused. "What's got your panties in a twist? Is it because I slept with him and not with you?" "Sorry, but the experience with you was so underwhelming. I doubt there'll be a next time. And honestly, you're exhausting. Didn't we agree, mutual benefit? No strings attached?" "Autumn," Lucas growled. "Are you doing this to spite me?" Now I was even more confused. Spite you for what? For choosing Elise instead of me? I was at a loss for words. Do I have to choose you? Are you heir to a throne or something? Choose between the two? Who gave you that right? I lifted the back of my hand and lightly patted his face. "Sweetheart, wake up. The monarchy's been dead for a while now." Leonardo was such a good boy. Right on time. He came to pick me up after class. When I went to the lab, he waited downstairs, then walked me back to the dorm. Never tried anything inappropriate. Not far away, I saw Elise walking back with Lucas by her side. I yanked Leonardo down by the neck, blew a breath beside his ear and whispered, "Want it?" Leonardo flinched. His neck was already hot enough to grill meat on. "Don't want it?" "No." This time he answered fast. I chuckled. Then you'll have to wait until my period's over. Leonardo, Elise suddenly called out. Leonardo stiffened, then reflexively pushed me away. He didn't control his strength. I stumbled back. He reached out to steady me, but Elise grabbed the hem of his shirt first. On the other side, a stone-faced Lucas caught me instead, and even pinched my waist while he was at it. I narrowed my eyes at him. What a dog. Leonardo, I wanted to talk to you about going home during the holidays. Are you still the one buying my ticket? Leonardo was clearly panicking. He didn't want to shake off Elise's hand, but he kept darting anxious glances at me. Lucas, on the other hand, didn't hold back. He scoffed and walked off without another word. Elise's expression soured. Eventually, she let go of Leonardo and chased after Lucas. Autumn, Leonardo muttered, stepping toward me, unsure, nervous. I stepped forward and straightened the hem of his shirt for him. Calmly, I said, as long as you want to, our deal still stands. Leonardo, you know, I've always had a soft spot for you. That line hit Leonardo right where it hurt. He suddenly pulled me into his arms, lowered his head, and kissed me hard. That messy, hungry, desperate kiss definitely made my knees go weak. A 3-minute deep kiss releases endorphins and reduces cortisol levels by 40%. Confirmed, effective. I stumbled back to the dorm with soft legs and shaky steps. Slept straight through till the next morning. Chapter 19. Elise couldn't hold it in anymore. When Leonardo and I were walking together, again, she stepped forward and blocked our path. Autumn, can you please let Leonardo go? He's never been in a relationship before. He's innocent. He's not your match. Don't hurt him. Leonardo frowned and pulled me behind him. Elise, that's enough. This is between Autumn and me. One more sentence and it would have been, it's none of your business. But he didn't say it. Still, it was enough to make Elise feel wronged. Leonardo, I'm just trying to protect you. What's happened to you? You never used to talk to me like this. Elise, can you not yell at Leonardo? I peeked out from behind him and said sincerely. It breaks my heart. Elise's expression froze. Tears on the verge of falling. I'm not yelling at Leonardo. We're childhood friends. I'm just worried about him. Then should I go tell Lucas the same thing? He's my childhood friend too. After all, Leonardo's grip on my hand suddenly tightened. Elise's face turned even uglier, like she was about to faint from rage. Leonardo tried to smooth things over. All right, Elise. Autumn and I are gonna head out. He tugged me along into a grove of trees nearby. Once we were out of sight, Leonardo wrapped his arms around my waist, biting my lips softly while growling. You're not allowed to go find him. I let him act like an overexcited puppy. After a while, I bit his ear and whispered, my relative's gone. Chapter 20. Because of the growing rift with Lucas, Leonardo rented an apartment off campus, mostly so I could nap there during the day, or work late into the night. But today, it finally served its true purpose. I rolled over and pinned Leonardo beneath me. My fingers slipped under his hoodie, tracing up from his sculpted abs. I lifted the hem of his sweatshirt, dragged my fingers across his lips, dodged his tongue, and commanded, hold this. Leonardo let out a low moan. His eyes were dazed, full of heat and mist, but obedient, as always. Straddling his waist, I pulled out something from under the pillow. Is it the one from last time? He hummed a soft yes. I smiled, satisfied, ripped the packaging open and leaned down toward him. I like good boys. Tell me, are you going to behave? That night, we went from bed to couch, from the bedroom to the living room. In the bathroom, I tilted his chin up with one hand over his shoulder. My voice was hoarse, trembling slightly. Look at the mirror, Leonardo. You're such a good boy. Suddenly, he shuddered. A long moan escaped him, and together, we reached the peak. Chapter 21. The next day, Lucas punched Leonardo, right in the classroom. It happened the moment he noticed the marks on Leonardo's neck. His expression turned vicious. He grabbed Leonardo by the collar. Where'd those marks on your neck come from? If someone else had asked, Leonardo might have gotten embarrassed. But since it was Lucas, he lost all patience. What's it got to do with you? He shoved Lucas aside and started walking into the classroom. Lucas kicked him square in the back. What the hell is wrong with you? Did you sleep with her? Lucas grabbed his collar, eyes burning with rage. Leonardo's face went cold. Get lost. You touched her? How dare you? Lucas. If you don't stop, I swear. Who said you could seduce her? Who gave you permission to touch her? Leonardo froze. He looked at Lucas in disbelief, but Lucas didn't give him a chance to react. His fist came crashing down. What started as a one-sided beatdown quickly turned into an all-out brawl. Someone called Elise. She arrived fast, crying. She tried to pull the two of them apart. What are you doing? What happened? What's going on? I'm begging you, please stop. 4 busy, nosy college students. Gossip spreads faster than a professor reading off the final exam review. Within minutes, rumors of a 2 guys fighting over 1 girl drama exploded across campus. Naturally, I heard about the fight too, but I didn't go. I was flying out of town for 3 days with some seniors to attend an academic conference with my professor. I had thought about telling Leonardo, but I guess now I didn't have to. I dozed a bit on the plane. When I landed, the messages started pouring in, all from the scandal triangle. Lucas, where are you? I need to talk to you. Leonardo, Autumn, where did you go? Why aren't you answering? Elise, Autumn, are you happy now? I didn't reply to any of them, muted everything, let them put on their melodramatic show without me. The conference was a small regional one, 2 days long. Everyone else got a free day to eat, explore, relax. Everyone except me. Why? Because my advisor said I couldn't fall behind on core coursework. So yeah, 2 backbreaking days. While they were snuggled up sleeping in hotel beds, I was already boarding the return flight. And after that, dragged myself through 2 back-to-back morning lectures like a cow to slaughter. When I finally stepped out of the lecture hall, Lucas was waiting outside, cigarette between his fingers, not lit. It had only been a few days, but he looked like he'd aged a few years. I messaged you. Did you see? Didn't check. If you've got something to say, just say it. But then Lucas went quiet. I clicked my tongue, ready to leave. He grabbed my arm. I broke up with Elise. Oh, my condolences. Chi-woo, no matter what happened between you and Leonardo, I don't care. We can start over. The way he said that, like he was swallowing some huge injustice. First of all, we never started. So there's no starting over. Second, I will never be with you. And third, you are so exhausting. Chi-woo, Lucas growled. Do you even know what Leonardo? Shut up. Leonardo came out of nowhere. Of course. Never-ending drama. God. I was so tired. I grabbed Leonardo's hand. Take me to your place. Leonardo flinched, stunned, like he was about to cry. But before he could lead me away, Elise showed up. Leonardo, wake up. You never liked Autumn. If it wasn't for me. Shut up. Leonardo shouted, voice cracking, but Elise had already yelled. If it weren't for me, you never would have gone to seduce Autumn. Beautiful. There it is. Finally said out loud. With my last ounce of acting skill, I stared blankly at Leonardo. So it was all a lie? Leonardo, even you lied to me? I covered my face and ran down the stairs, onto the little green sightseeing tram, and rode off without looking back. Chapter 22. On the 4th day after I blocked and deleted the scandal trio, final exams arrived right on schedule. Leonardo had visibly lost weight. Autumn, can we talk after the exams? Lucas, on the other hand, seemed to have regained some shine. Wanna go home together? I replied to Leonardo. We'll see. My head's a mess right now. I replied to Lucas. No need. I've got other plans. Pain flickered in Leonardo's eyes. Lucas, however, assumed I was just making excuses. His gaze dimmed for a moment. Then I'll wait for you at home. What they didn't know was, every word I said to them was true. In fact, Elise had already gotten to me before either of them did. She told me everything. She said, I admit, it was my fault, but I never thought Leonardo would actually go through with it. He only got close to you for me because I was insecure, because I was afraid. He played along with the ambiguity. The point was to pull you away from Lucas. Lucas knew too. He agreed to it. Everything was going fine. I was supposed to end up with Lucas. Leonardo was never supposed to fall for you. Autumn. This is all your fault. How could you actually get together with Leonardo? Leonardo never treated me like that before. It's all because of you. And now Lucas doesn't want me either. Autumn, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You're getting back at me, aren't you? Her emotions were out of control, tears and snot running everywhere. I stared at her, eyes sharp as blades. Getting back at you? Why would I want revenge on you? Because... She stuttered. Then, forcing composure, she shouted, because Lucas likes me, not you. I smiled at her kindly, patted her gently on the head. Then, under her horrified gaze, I said softly, nope, that's not it. Try again. Chapter 23. With Lucas. I'd always had a little more patience. We were childhood friends, grew up together, had even made a pact to be with each other someday. Chances were, he'd end up as my husband. I wasn't against marriage, and if the one I married was Lucas, it'd save me a whole lot of trouble. So with him, my tone was always gentle and soft. Like my mom used to say, if you want to, you can sweet talk Lucas back into being a fetus. So in our day-to-day chats, I acted exactly like a simp. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Please don't be mad, okay? Craving dumplings from the old alley? No problem. I'll go buy them first thing in the morning. But did I ever actually go? Of course not. I'd get a full night's sleep, finish 2 classes, and then send him a message. Totally my fault. They were sold out. I even skipped class to go, but still couldn't get any. Are you hungry? I got buns from the cafeteria. Want me to bring you some? Stuff like that. There was a lot of it. These kinds of intimate chats shouldn't have seen the light of day. But in order to appease Elise, Lucas trimmed them down, took screenshots, and sent them to her. And Elise accidentally posted them in a group chat of over 1,000 people. She timed the recall feature just right, then quickly apologized. Oops. Wrong group. Sorry. Please don't spread this. It wouldn't be good for Autumn. How convenient. I wasn't in that group, but my alt account was. I saw someone react with a puking emoji. How can someone be this desperate? Total disgrace to all women. So man-obsessed. Can't survive without a guy? Ugh, physically repulsed. Then Elise chimed in. Please don't say that. She must really like him. I don't get it, but I still respect it. That was enough info for people to connect the dots. Soon, they figured out that the simp was me, and once the feeding frenzy began, it became a full-blown witch hunt. Some sneered at me, some whispered behind my back. Someone even splashed soup on me. And Elise? Her eyes sparkled with smug satisfaction every time she saw me. Now me? I hold grudges. I don't do petty revenge. I do it with interest. Every single person who posted nasty things in that group, I reported. One by one. Didn't ask for compensation, but I demanded real name, real account apologies. As for the simp label, whatever. I could wear it, because a true queen's revenge can wait up to 3 months. The day finals ended. I posted the screenshots of the Scandal Trio's own chats, plus the real messages between me and Lucas across every major social platform. Turns out, that whole simp persona? Fake. We were just a couple flirting in private. But if Lucas and I were together, that made Elise the side chick. Even worse. She told her own man to go seduce another woman. Pathetic. Stupid and evil. And no, I wasn't just out to defend my honor. It was strategic. All part of my traffic driving copywriting. I even paid to promote it. $1,000, super pricey. The drama exploded online. But me? I was already headed north. I had plans. I'd secured my exchange student spot. Everything I'd been grinding for in freshman and sophomore year led to this leap. Everything else? Just passing noise. Only what I land in my own hands truly belongs to me. As for men, honestly, as long as you don't get emotionally involved, they're kind of fun to play with. Story 2. When the real daughter returned, she used every trick she could to push me out. She slapped herself and claimed I hit her. She intentionally fell down the stairs and said I pushed her. She smothered her pet cat and blamed me for it. But what she didn't know was that there were cameras all over the house. Every single one of her actions was seen by the whole family. Chapter 1. Slap. A heavy slap echoed through the living room. Jessica, with tears streaming down her face, looked at me pitifully. Sis, I didn't mean to spill water on your clothes. Why did you hit me? At that moment, I saw my adoptive parents return from outside. I've always known I was adopted. Years ago, when Jessica was kidnapped, my adoptive parents couldn't cope with the loss of their beloved daughter. So they adopted me, a girl around Jessica's age, from an orphanage. My adoptive parents treated me very well, and I've always been grateful to them. So when Jessica was finally found, I sincerely wanted to be good to her. But on the first day we met, when our parents weren't paying attention, she whispered harshly in my ear, "Regina, you stole 18 years of my life. I will do everything I can to drive you out of this house and take back what's mine." I was stunned, staring at her innocent and pitiful face. Moments earlier, she had told our parents she would treat me like her own sister. I even started to doubt if I had heard her correctly. Oh, right. At that moment, I was wearing a Bluetooth earbud, hidden by my long hair. I was on the phone with my brother, who was away on a business trip and hadn't returned yet. I think even my brother was shocked by Jessica's words because he didn't say anything for a long time. However, we both chose to stay silent about it, thinking that Jessica had just returned to the family and was understandably feeling insecure. But I didn't expect that the very next day, Jessica would really start causing trouble. I was sitting on the couch watching TV. Jessica was there too, but she seemed distracted. I asked her what show she liked, but she didn't answer. I offered her some fruit, but she ignored me. The only thing she asked was, "When do mom and dad get off work?" I replied, "Around 6 o'clock. I thought it was normal for her to miss them, having just returned home. But as soon as the clock struck 6, she suddenly threw a cup of tea on me. Shocked, I jumped up from the couch, not knowing how to react. Then I heard a slap. Jessica had slapped herself in the face. I was just about to say, "It's just some water on my clothes. No need to apologize so dramatically." I heard her say just one sentence, twisting the truth. "What's going on?" My adoptive parents rushed over, concerned. "It's not my sister's fault." Jessica looked at our adoptive parents, then glanced at me, her voice full of grievance. "It's my fault. I accidentally spilled water on her clothes, and that's why she slapped me. Her clothes are so pretty. They must be expensive." Chapter 2. My adoptive parents frowned. They raised me, and they probably know me better than I know myself. They wouldn't believe I'd hit someone without reason. But they didn't expose Jessica directly. She had just returned, and they didn't want to embarrass her. Not like me. I've always worn hand-me-downs. Never anything new. And definitely never something as nice as my sister's clothes. Jessica, seeing that they hadn't come to her defense, continued pitifully. My adoptive mother glanced subtly at the discreet security cameras in the house and said, "Tomorrow, Mom will take you shopping for new clothes. Regina, your clothes are wet. Go change so you don't catch a cold." I saw the satisfied smile on Jessica's face. I didn't say anything, just nodded and obediently went to my room. As soon as I finished changing, my adoptive mother knocked and came in. "Regina, your dad and I reviewed the security footage. Jessica was in the wrong." I already knew there were cameras in the house, so I didn't need to explain anything earlier. But Jessica, having just returned, was clearly unaware of them. After all, she had been kidnapped and raised in a remote mountain village as a child bride. In her understanding of the world, she couldn't imagine a house being equipped with such high-tech devices. Jessica just came back. She might be struggling a bit mentally. My adoptive mother trailed off, unsure of how to explain it. My adoptive parents were kind people, and nothing like this had ever happened in our harmonious family before. Jessica's behavior was a shock to them. "Mom, I understand. Once Jessica feels secure in this family, she won't act this way anymore," I said understandingly. My adoptive mother pulled me into a hug, genuinely saying, "You're such a good child." After she left, Jessica walked into my room. Smugly, she said, "Did Mom scold you badly?" Chapter 3. I really wanted to tell her that there were cameras in the house and everyone saw everything, But before I could say anything, Jessica spoke again. If you're smart, you'll leave on your own. Stop clinging to this house, using our money, and taking our things. Let me tell you, there can only be one daughter in this family. And that's me. Whether I stay or leave is up to Mom and Dad, not you, I said. Starting to get angry, I held back my frustration and kindly added, Jessica, Mom and Dad won't love you any less because of me. We can live together peacefully as a family. We're not family. Stop flattering yourself. Jessica spat back. You're just a parentless orphan. Why do you get to live in this nice house, wear these nice clothes, and receive a good education? You should suffer everything I went through in those 18 years. You being kidnapped wasn't my fault, I said, exasperated by her twisted logic. Just because she was resentful, she needed someone to take it out on? I don't care if it's your fault or not. All I know is you took what was mine, and you deserve nothing good in return, Jessica retorted stubbornly. I had no more words. If she was so set on destroying herself, then let her. In fact, I was curious to see how far she could take this. I really wanted to see what expression she would have when she realized her clever schemes had been watched by the whole family. My adoptive mother took Jessica shopping at the mall, but I didn't go. It was my choice not to go. I knew Jessica didn't like me, and I didn't want to make her uncomfortable. But Jessica thought that my mother had punished me for hitting her yesterday by not letting me go, which only made her even more smug. She returned with bags upon bags, flaunting them in front of me. Mom treats me so well. She bought me all the best things. I didn't even know a bag could cost over 50,000 yuan. Jessica waved a Chanel bag in my face. And these shoes? They cost more than 10,000 yuan. I've never worn such expensive shoes before. Oh, Mom, I love you so much, Jessica cooed, acting as if she were complimenting our mom but really just trying to provoke me. I felt no reaction at all. In fact, it was my adoptive mother who seemed uncomfortable as she watched Jessica show off. She turned to me and said, Regina, is there anything you're missing? I can take you shopping tomorrow. No need. I have everything I need. Thank you, Mom. I had never asked my adoptive parents for luxury items, even though they were wealthy. I knew they worked hard for their money and didn't want to waste it. Anyway, don't be too polite with Mom. You will always be her daughter, and you'll always be my mom, I said firmly. I have never doubted the love my adoptive parents have for me, whether Jessica is back or not. Feelings are meant to be mutual. I treat my adoptive parents sincerely, and they respond with the same sincerity. But Jessica doesn't understand that. She can't comprehend it. She watched as I shared a tender moment with my adoptive mother, and her expression changed noticeably. But the next moment, she cheerfully said, Sis, let's go to the room. I want to show you my new clothes. I could tell Jessica had ulterior motives, but to avoid putting my adoptive parents in an awkward position, I agreed. As we walked upstairs together, we were halfway up the stairs when suddenly, Jessica tumbled down from beside me. At that moment, my brother Paul had just arrived home from his trip. He walked in just in time to see Jessica fall down the stairs, landing flat on her face. Lying on the ground, she cried out in pain, accusing me. Sis, why did you push me? Chapter 4. Our whole family just stood there, watching Jessica lying on the ground. For a long moment, no one reacted. It was Jessica herself who finally realized she was being ignored and cried out again. It hurts, my whole body hurts. Quick, let's get her to the hospital. Paul, hurry up. Take Jessica to the hospital. My adoptive mother snapped back to her senses and instructed. Paul quickly lifted Jessica from the floor, and the whole family accompanied her to the hospital. All the way there, Jessica kept crying, saying the pain was unbearable. After a full-body checkup at the hospital, it turned out she wasn't injured at all. Then Jessica claimed she felt dizzy. The doctor, slightly reluctant, said, It might be a mild concussion. If you're really worried, she can stay overnight for observation. Hearing this, Jessica played up the act even more. So, my adoptive father went ahead and completed the hospital admission process. The whole family stayed with her at the hospital. Sis, why did you push me earlier? Lying on the hospital bed, Jessica asked me tearfully. her face filled with grievance. Do you not want me to come home? Is it because Mom only bought clothes for me today and not for you? If you like, I'll give you all of mine. Please don't hate me, okay? I was honestly stunned by her manipulative words. Before I could explain anything, Paul had already had enough. I saw you fall down the stairs by yourself. Brother, do you really think I'm falsely accusing my sister? Jessica's tears fell like pearls, one after another. Do you not like me either? I just came back, and my sister has lived with you for 18 years. Of course, you're closer to her. What does it matter if I'm your real sister? Jessica. Paul's face darkened. The amount of time we've spent together doesn't matter. I'm just stating the facts. The camera's at home. If you don't want me here, you can just send me back to my old home. Jessica sobbed. Even though I was beaten there, covered in bruises, worked all day long, and had chilblains in the winter and heat rashes in the summer, at least they welcomed me. With that, Jessica attempted to get out of bed, as if to leave. But as soon as she stepped off the bed, she pretended to be weak and nearly fainted. However, no one moved to help her, because we all knew she had fallen down the stairs on her own. While Jessica was getting her checkup, our father had already reviewed the footage on the home security app. It clearly showed everything. When Jessica realized no one was going to support her, she leaned on the edge of the bed, looking as if she could collapse at any moment. You should all just forget about me. Once I go back to that house, I'll probably get married and have kids. After that, I'll never be able to leave the mountains for the rest of my life. Jessica cried as she spoke. Enough. Stop pretending. We've seen everything you've done. Paul remained unmoved, even showing signs of frustration. But our adoptive mother, being soft-hearted, couldn't help but feel sympathetic hearing Jessica's words. Paul, stop it. Jessica just got back and isn't fully familiar with our family yet, so she feels insecure. Let's give her more time. While calming Paul, our mother helped Jessica back into bed. Jessica, we're a family. You and Regina are both my daughters. We won't treat you any differently just because you've only recently returned. You're both equal to us. My mother gently reassured her. Jessica threw herself into our mother's arms and broke down into loud sobs. Mom, please don't abandon me. I don't want to go back to being beaten and scolded. I'll let my sister have everything from now on. Just please don't stop loving me. Chapter 5. I watched as Paul's expression grew darker and darker, hearing Jessica's words. He was at a loss for words, beyond exasperation. But because our adoptive mother kept signaling him to stop, Paul didn't expose her. It wasn't that our mother was blindly protecting Jessica. She simply felt guilty. Hearing about Jessica's tragic experiences made her feel compassion. So she wanted to preserve Jessica's dignity. She didn't want Jessica to feel like an outcast in her own home after finally being reunited with the family. Our mother was acting for the sake of family harmony, trying to keep everyone at peace and filled with love. But in Jessica's mind, she probably didn't see it that way. She would likely interpret it as our mother favoring her. Our mother stayed behind at the hospital to accompany Jessica. I left with my adoptive father and Paul. While our mother walked us to the hospital entrance, she took my hand and said, Regina, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I'll talk to Jessica and help her understand. Don't worry. No matter what, this won't affect our love for you. It's okay. I also hope Jessica can truly accept me. I responded obediently, even though I no longer had a positive impression of Jessica. I understood my adoptive parents' intentions. Should we tell Jessica about the cameras in the house? I can't stand her manipulative and pretentious behavior, Paul said. Still angry, it was clear that Paul had no affection for his biological sister. After hearing what Jessica had said on the phone that day, a wedge had already formed in his heart. Today's incident only worsened his opinion of her, completely shattering any expectations he may have had. Let's not tell her for now, our adoptive father said. If we tell her now, Jessica won't be able to handle it. She's just come back, and we should show her more care and help her truly accept us. Besides, we don't know what kind of person Jessica really is. With the cameras, we can observe her behavior and correct her mistakes when necessary, he added. Our mother agreed with this viewpoint. Paul didn't press the issue. He just said, I'd also like to see what other outrageous stunts Jessica can pull. It was obvious he was ready to watch the drama unfold. Since Paul no longer felt guilty about Jessica, he wasn't going to tolerate her antics like our adoptive parents did. Jessica just got back, so let's all try to be nice to her, our adoptive mother said with a sigh. She's probably acting this way toward Regina because she feels insecure. Once she realizes that we won't love her any less, she'll be able to accept Regina. My adoptive parents are kind people who always assume the best in others. Since they raised me, I also agreed with their perspective, believing that with time, Jessica would improve. So after that, we all tried to be as good to Jessica as possible. We gave her anything she asked for, to make Jessica feel less resistant toward me. My adoptive parents and Paul even intentionally acted a little distant toward me when she was around. We thought that by doing this, Jessica would fully accept the family and stop harboring resentment toward me. On the surface, Jessica did seem friendlier. She would always call me sister with a smile, but only I knew how she behaved behind the scenes, taking advantage of every opportunity. She didn't believe that our adoptive parents were being kinder to her because they wanted her to feel part of the family. She thought it was because her brilliant performance had succeeded in driving a wedge between me and them. Proudly, she would flaunt this in front of me, even going so far as to say, "Regina, I'm going to kick you out of this house for good soon." Chapter 6. I didn't argue with Jessica, nor did I feel compelled to keep trying to reason with someone who was so hostile toward me. If she wanted to go down a self-destructive path, she was welcome to it. If she ended up humiliating herself, she would deserve it. One day, Jessica suddenly said she wanted to get a pet. Tearfully, she told a heart-wrenching story about how, in her old life, she had bonded with a small cat. She said that every time she was beaten or scolded by that family, the cat would stay by her side, comforting her and stopping her from taking her own life. With the atmosphere that heavy, it would have felt wrong for our adoptive parents to refuse her request. In reality, both my adoptive father and Paul have severe allergies to furry animals, and they would sneeze non-stop around them. But to please Jessica, they still bought her a beautiful blue-eyed ragdoll cat named Ketty. Once Ketty arrived, Jessica carried the cat everywhere, treating it with endless affection and care. My adoptive parents were deeply moved to see how caring Jessica was toward the cat. Although they tried not to hold a grudge about the things she had done to me, it still bothered them a little. Now, seeing her act so lovingly toward the pet, they believed Jessica was fundamentally a good person. They thought her behavior stemmed from feeling insecure in a new environment. In time, once she became more familiar with the family, she would fully accept not only them but also me. However, neither Paul nor I shared our parents' optimism. Paul pulled me aside and whispered, "Watching Jessica with that cat gives me the creeps. Keep an eye on her. I think she's about to stir up trouble again." And Paul was right. Jessica had the cat for about a month. The cat, which had been docile until now, suddenly went wild this morning and attacked me, claws aimed directly at my face. Luckily, I reacted quickly and blocked the cat with my hand, preventing it from scratching my face. But deep claw marks slashed across the back of my hand, leaving a terrifying, bloody wound. My adoptive parents rushed over to see what had happened. Before I could even cry, Jessica was already sobbing uncontrollably. "Sister, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I didn't hold on to Ketty properly, and now it's scratched you. Please don't punish Ketty. If you're angry, blame me." With Jessica crying so dramatically, it was hard to tell who had been injured. My adoptive parents looked at my wound, and they were furious. "Jessica, be quiet. Your sister is the one who's hurt. Why are you crying so loudly?" My adoptive mother said sharply. Jessica was stunned. They had never spoken to her so harshly before. She stammered for a while before saying, "I just feel awful seeing my sister hurt." Ignoring her, my adoptive mother quickly turned to me. "Regina, let's go to the hospital and get your wound cleaned. You'll also need a rabies shot after being scratched by an animal. We can't delay this." I followed her to the hospital, had my wound treated, and got my shots. When we returned home, we found Jessica with swollen eyes from crying. "What's wrong with you?" my adoptive mother asked, feeling a bit sorry for her despite everything. Jessica's eyes welled up with tears again, and she choked out, "I feel so bad that my sister got hurt because of me. Regina has been pampered her whole life and probably never experienced this kind of pain. Unlike me, I'm used to getting beaten. I'm sure she's in a lot of pain. And it's all my fault. Chapter 7. As Jessica spoke, she worked hard to squeeze out a couple more tears. Jessica looked weak, helpless, and pitiful. Crocodile tears. Paul suddenly muttered, unable to hold back any longer. He probably couldn't stand Jessica's fake behavior. What did you say, brother? Jessica, lacking much education, didn't understand Paul's remark, but she was clever enough to guess that it wasn't a compliment. Are you blaming me, brother? Blaming me for not taking good care of Ketty, which led to my sister getting scratched. But I didn't want this either. If I had known, I'd have preferred to be the one injured. I'm tough from working on farms all my life. A little injury wouldn't have mattered. I could see Paul was starting to get thoroughly disgusted. Her pretentious words were just humiliating herself in front of someone as sharp as Paul, the tea expert when it comes to fake behaviors. If you're that upset and guilty, why don't you give Ketty away? That way, you won't cry yourself to death next time it scratches someone, Paul said sarcastically. No. Jessica's face collapsed in an instant at the mention of giving Ketty away. Her reaction was so exaggerated that everyone was left staring, stunned. Anyone who didn't know better might have thought she had just lost her parents. No. I quickly stopped myself from thinking such thoughts. I shouldn't curse our adoptive parents. Our adoptive parents were just standing there, dumbfounded by Jessica's over-the-top behavior. I can't live without Ketty. If I lose her, how will I go on? Dad, Mom, brother, sister, you can blame me, punish me, yell at me, whatever you want, but please don't take Ketty away. Don't send her away. Jessica begged dramatically. Finally, my adoptive mother had had enough. That's enough. No one is blaming you, and no one said we'd send Ketty away. Stop crying all the time, she said, clearly irritated. Jessica bit her lip, trying to hold back her sobs. Today was just an accident. Let's leave it at that. But Ketty did scratch Regina, and you've been the one taking care of her, so make sure you train her better. If she scratches anyone again, we will have no choice but to send her away, my adoptive mother said sternly. Yes, I'll make sure to discipline Ketty and prevent her from scratching anyone ever again. Thank you, Mom, for your understanding. Jessica obediently agreed. At that moment, she finally flashed a sweet smile, but her smile also carried a hint of smugness. Later, when no one else was around, Jessica intentionally carried Ketty over to me and asked, Regina, haven't you figured it out yet? I frowned. Figured out what? That she's a pretentious manipulator? Haven't you realized that everyone in this house is on my side? Jessica boasted. So what if my cat scratched you? Not a single person blamed me. I couldn't help but laugh. The fact that no one blamed her was out of kindness and generosity, but she turned it into something to brag about? How twisted is her mind? Regina, if I were you, I'd have the decency to leave the family on my own. Don't you find it shameful to cling here like this? Jessica sneered coldly. She had such a different face when our adoptive parents were around, practically unrecognizable. Chapter 8. I wasn't going to tolerate her anymore. When she first came back, I thought maybe she was just feeling unbalanced after going through so much hardship, and I tried to understand her. But now, after a month or two, with her continuing to make trouble, it was clear that the issue was with her character. Jessica, I didn't impose myself here. Mom and Dad willingly adopted me from the orphanage. They brought me home because they wanted to, not because I forced my way in. I stated clearly, word by word, that's only because I wasn't around. You're just my replacement. Now that I'm back, you should be gone. You weren't here for 18 years. While I've been the one supporting Mom and Dad through their toughest times. Why should you erase everything I've done for this family just because you've returned? What? Do you think your face is bigger than everyone else's? Jessica was left speechless, humiliated by my words. At the end of the day, everything in this house belongs to Mom and Dad. You didn't earn any of it. They never told me to leave. So who are you to tell me what to do? I'm their biological daughter. Everything they have should belong to me. You're using what's rightfully mine, Jessica said, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. I angrily shot back. Mom and Dad worked hard for everything they have. And you want to claim it all without lifting a finger? Don't you think that's the real shamelessness? Enough. Regina. Jessica, unable to argue further, grew furious. I tried to reason with you, but since you won't listen, don't blame me for what happens next. I'll make sure you regret it. You'll be out of here soon enough. Just wait and see. Jessica stormed off after hurling that threat. I didn't let her scare me with her pathetic little tricks. What could she possibly do? Besides, everything she does is caught on the house's security cameras. The more Jessica did, the worse she made herself look. However, this time, I have to say, Jessica truly shattered my understanding of human nature. Early in the morning, the villa was suddenly filled with a piercing scream. It startled everyone. Still half asleep, I, my adoptive parents, and Paul rushed out of our rooms, only to see Jessica sitting on the floor in the downstairs hall, sobbing hysterically. What happened? My adoptive mother asked. Ever since Jessica came back, there hadn't been much peace in the house. I noticed that instead of showing concern, my adoptive parents seemed to be losing patience. Wah! Jessica clutched Ketty, wailing as if she were about to pass out from crying. None of us had any idea what was going on. My adoptive father was getting irritated. Jessica, it's so early in the morning. What are you crying for? You need to tell us what happened so we can understand what's wrong. Jessica was startled by his raised voice. She stopped crying and looked at us with teary eyes, pitiful as ever. What happened? My adoptive father asked again, sternly. Ketty. Ketty is dead. Jessica sobbed, pulling Ketty out from her arms. Chapter 9. That beautiful cat, Ketty, now lay there with wide, frozen blue eyes, not even able to close them in death. Everyone was shocked. Just yesterday, Ketty had been fine. So how could she be dead now? How did it die? My adoptive mother asked urgently. I don't know. When I woke up this morning, I found Ketty lying on the floor. When I picked her up, I realized Ketty wasn't moving anymore. Jessica wailed again. Ketty was so healthy. She couldn't have just died for no reason. Did she eat something bad? My adoptive father speculated. No. Ketty was always so obedient. She never ate anything unless I gave it to her. Jessica insisted. Then how could she just die out of nowhere? My adoptive father was puzzled. Maybe someone killed Ketty on purpose? Jessica suddenly looked horrified. Who would go out of their way to kill a pet cat? My adoptive father didn't think it was possible. But... Jessica stammered, clearly struggling to say what was on her mind. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she hesitated, as if struggling to speak. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush, my adoptive father said impatiently. Yesterday, Ketty scratched my sister. Jessica suddenly shifted the blame onto me, and in that moment, it became clear to everyone exactly what Jessica was trying to do today. Sister, why did you kill Ketty? Without waiting for us to respond, Jessica had already pinned the blame on me. It was wrong of Ketty to scratch you yesterday. But you can't just kill her. She was a living being too. How could you be so cruel? I didn't kill her, I replied calmly, meeting her gaze. Who else could it be? Jessica accused me, her voice rising with emotion. Ever since I came back to this house, you've targeted me at every turn. The first thing you did was slap me across the face. All because I accidentally spilled some water on your clothes. You pushed me down the stairs just because Mom bought me some nice clothes and didn't buy any for you. And now, just because Ketty scratched you, you're so heartless that you killed her. Sister, I've endured all your other abuses. I know you're feeling threatened because I'm back. And you're afraid that Mom, Dad, and Paul will take away their love for you. I understand that. But why would you go after an innocent little life? By the end of her outburst, Jessica seemed on the verge of a complete breakdown. She looked like she was about to cry herself to death at any moment. However, my adoptive parents, Paul, and I all remained cold-faced. Even my usually soft-hearted parents didn't show any sympathy for her. How could they? Jessica might have gotten away with it if she hadn't brought up the past. But now, any trust she once had was completely shattered. Sister, why did you kill Ketty? Why would you be so cruel? Jessica, realizing that no one in the family was siding with her, grew even more agitated. For the last time. I didn't kill Keddy, I repeated firmly. It was you. There's no one else who could have done it. Jessica's tone grew more resolute. Jessica, stop it. Regina would never do something like that. My adoptive mother said firmly, clearly unable to tolerate Jessica's baseless accusations any longer. Even though my mother still held on to a shred of compassion for her, she didn't expose the truth directly. She wanted to spare Jessica from further humiliation, giving her a chance to back down gracefully. Chapter 10. Mom. Jessica looked at my adoptive mother with tear-filled eyes. You, Dad, and Paul told me before I came back that I should get along with my sister. Even though she's not our biological family, she's still part of this family. I listened. I really did. And I truly accepted her. Jessica. My adoptive mother scolded her, trying to stop her from saying more, but Jessica refused to back down. She didn't understand what my adoptive mother meant. She thought my mother was protecting me, and this time, she was determined to push me out of the house. I didn't hold a grudge for all the awful things my sister did to me before, but this time she hurt Keddy, my beloved pet. She took a life. I can't just let that go. Jessica shouted at my adoptive parents. I know this puts you in a difficult position, but from today onward, it's either her or me in this house. My adoptive parents stood there, staring at Jessica with cold, detached expressions, watching her aggression. Not difficult at all, Paul suddenly said, breaking the tension. You can leave. Jessica's eyes widened in shock, as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard. In her mind, my adoptive parents should have been kicking me out, not her. She had never imagined that Paul would so easily tell her to leave. A moment later, she seemed to regain her composure. She turned to Paul and said, Brother, I know you've never liked me. You've always sided with her. I understand that she's been in this family for 18 years. But this is a matter of principle. You shouldn't tolerate her actions. You're absolutely right. This is about principle. And we can't tolerate it any longer. Paul said this while looking directly at my adoptive parents. We've given her too many chances. Hearing Paul's words, Jessica couldn't hide her joy, though she tried to keep herself from smiling, but her face gave her away. I noticed my adoptive parents nodding in agreement. Jessica had indeed worn out their patience. Everyone had gone out of their way to protect her feelings, but she had shown no remorse, only escalating her behavior. When Jessica saw them nod, she thought they had agreed to kick me out. She quickly adopted an innocent tone and said, Sister, don't blame me. Blame yourself for being so cruel. You did something unforgivable just to keep the love of this family all to yourself. Turns out you know it's despicable. Paul sneered coldly. Enough. Jessica, stop pretending. We've seen everything you've done. Brother, what are you talking about? What have I done? It's all Regina's doing. Jessica looked at him, bewildered. I'm not going to waste my breath on this anymore. Paul had long since run out of patience. He had been waiting to lay everything out in the open, without another word. He turned on the TV and cast the videos from his phone to the screen. Jessica, still confused, had no idea what Paul was doing, until, on the TV screen, the footage of her slapping herself in the face that day appeared. I could see the color drain from Jessica's face. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She couldn't fathom that the secret thing she did would suddenly show up on the TV. How is this here? What is this? Jessica's face turned red, then white, her embarrassment palpable. No one in the family responded to her. They were all watching as the next footage showed her deliberately tumbling down the stairs. And no, it's not like that. Jessica panicked. She couldn't comprehend how they had these videos. Stop it. Stop it! Jessica was thoroughly scared now. Her face had turned pale. You can't handle this already? Paul sneered. There's something even more shocking. Chapter 11. At the same time, the screen displayed footage of Jessica in the dead of night, smothering Keddy, her beloved cat, in her arms. As she suffocated Keddy, her face showed no remorse. No matter how Keddy struggled, Jessica didn't soften. Her expression was full of cruelty, truly displaying what it means to be vile. No, it's not like that. It's not. Jessica shook her head, shaking it furiously. She wanted to explain, but no words came out. My adoptive parents showed no mercy, their eyes cold as they watched her fall apart. Jessica, got nothing to say? Paul asked her. Did you all do this on purpose? Jessica broke down and asked us. At that moment, I couldn't help but admit, she had strong nerves. Anyone else, exposed in this way, would be overwhelmed with shame, but she still managed to act indignant. Did you do this to humiliate me? Did you film these videos just so I'd have no place in this house? If you didn't want me back, why bring me here? Why take me back into this family? I'll leave. I'll go die somewhere else. Jessica cried out, preparing to storm out. No one tried to stop her. Jessica walked a few steps, then stopped and turned around. You did this on purpose, didn't you? You recorded everything to set me up. You can't wait for me to be kicked out so you can be the only daughter left in this house. How can you be so selfish? She glared at me, accusingly. The house has had cameras long before you ever came here. Jessica, Regina never set you up. You still don't understand what you've done wrong? You did all these disgusting, shameful things, and you still have the audacity to blame others. Paul's face turned red with anger. Don't you have any shame? Jessica couldn't find the words to respond. Let me make this clear. We all know exactly what kind of person Regina is. Even if there weren't cameras, we would never believe she'd do anything like this. All you've done is humiliate yourself. Paul's anger grew stronger with every word. He was clearly devastated to realize that his own sister could behave like this. If you want to leave, then go. We'll just act like we never found you. Paul's voice was ice cold. Jessica looked at Paul, then turned to our parents. They remained silent, their faces set in stone, unwavering in their decision. Finally, Jessica was scared. She realized that our parents were serious. In an instant, her demeanor changed again. She began wailing. Dad, Mom, brother, sister. I was wrong. I was wrong. I saw the disgust on my parents' faces. There was no pity for her. I know I was wrong. I was just so scared you wouldn't like me. So I did all those shameful things. I love this family so much. That's why I acted like that. But I understand now. I was wrong. Please don't abandon me. Where would I go if you kicked me out? If I go back to that place, I'll surely be beaten to death. Jessica's desperate pleas did nothing to soften our parents. They remained as cold as ever. With a heavy thud, Jessica fell to her knees in front of me. Sister, please forgive me. Tell Mom and Dad not to kick me out. Please. Stop putting pressure on her. Paul stood protectively in front of me. Don't try to manipulate Regina with guilt. You need to face the consequences of your actions. Chapter 12. Jessica clung to Paul's leg, crying out, Brother, I can't leave this family. I know I was wrong. I truly know now. Dad, Mom, please give me another chance. Paul kicked her off. Without hesitation, Jessica immediately threw herself at our adoptive parents' feet. I will never treat my sister like that again. Please forgive me this time, okay? Dad, Mom, I promise I won't do it again. Please don't make me leave. The living room was filled with Jessica's heart-wrenching cries. Seeing her appear so regretful and heartbroken, our adoptive parents reluctantly allowed her to stay. However, after everything that had happened, there was a clear distance between Jessica and our adoptive parents. For a while, they treated her with cold indifference. Jessica seemed to realize that she had truly disappointed them. She became much more well-behaved, and no longer acted so arrogantly toward me. Just as our family was starting to let go of our suspicions and prepare to fully accept her again, she stirred up trouble once more. We soon learned that some people really never change. On the evening of my birthday, Jessica told me she had prepared a surprise for me and asked me to go out for a while. I remained cautious of her. Her sudden change of attitude only made me more suspicious. So, before I left, I told Paul, who was even more distrustful of Jessica than I was, didn't hesitate to say, Jessica's up to no good for sure. Don't worry, you go ahead. I'll follow you and see what disgusting thing she's planning this time. Okay. I followed Jessica's directions and left the house. Going to the place she mentioned, it was a dark alley. If I hadn't known my brother was following me, I would never have come here. Regina. Suddenly, I heard Jessica's voice. I turned my head and saw her standing about a meter in front of me. with a burly, dark-skinned man beside her. The man looked vaguely familiar, but I couldn't quite place him. You're really stupid to actually come here. Huh? Jessica sneered with satisfaction. I looked at her warily. What do you mean? What do I mean? You really thought I accepted you? That's hilarious. How could I ever accept someone who stole my family and my life? Jessica spat angrily. How many times do I have to tell you? I didn't steal anything from you. Your being kidnapped had nothing to do with me. And we could easily be a family. A family? If you really consider me family, would you have slapped me in the face like that last time? Do you know how much I wanted to die at that moment? But I couldn't die. I had to get revenge. Because of you. They treated me that way. Jessica spat venomously. We only did what we did to stop you from making more mistakes. What's wrong with wanting you to correct them? I was truly speechless. After all this time, Jessica still hadn't shown an ounce of remorse. If anything, she had become even more delusional. I never did anything wrong from the start. You should never have come into my family. You should have just left. Jessica screamed. Jessica, shut up. Jessica sneered coldly. She turned to the man standing beside her, saying, Victor, didn't you say you didn't have a wife when I left? Well, here's a wife for you now. Aren't you going to take her? Who is he? I asked, alarmed, as the man began to approach me. Chapter 13. Jessica's smile grew more sinister. Didn't I tell you before? You stole 18 years of my happiness. So now you deserve to suffer the way I did for those 18 years. And now you will. I turned and bolted. At that moment, I realized who Victor was. He was the son of the family Jessica had been sold to when she was kidnapped. I had once accidentally seen a photo of him on my adoptive parents' phone. I couldn't believe how evil Jessica had become. She actually wanted me to live the miserable life she had endured. I could hear the footsteps behind me getting closer. There was no way I could outrun him. Just as Victor was about to catch me, Paul suddenly appeared, shielding me protectively. Victor glared at Paul and growled, Get out of my way. Jessica noticed Paul too. She hadn't expected him to be there. She panicked immediately, turning around to flee, trying to distance herself from the situation. But as soon as she turned, suddenly, a police car appeared behind us. Several police officers quickly subdued Jessica and the man. Let me go! Let me go! Why are you arresting me? Jessica struggled incessantly under the grip of the police. Paul and I stood there, coldly watching her, no longer feeling a shred of sympathy. Brother, help me! I'm your real sister. You can't do this to me. Tell them to let me go. Jessica, unable to break free, started pleading with Paul. I don't have a despicable sister like you. Brother, I know I was wrong. I really do. Jessica immediately admitted her fault. Pitiful and pathetic. I won't do it again. I swear. Please help me. I don't want to go to jail. Paul coldly responded. Jessica, if I still believed you, I wouldn't have called the police. What happens next will be up to the court's decision. No, brother. Please don't. I really know I was wrong. Please don't do this to me. I'm your real sister. I won't ever do it again. I promise. Jessica and the man were both taken away by the police. When my adoptive parents learned what had happened, they didn't plead for Jessica's case, nor did they ask me, as the victim, to forgive her in court. In the end, Jessica was sentenced to 3 years in prison for attempted kidnapping. I don't know if these 3 years will be enough for her to change, to truly reflect on her mistakes, and start anew. What I do know is that as long as one remains sincere and kind, genuine affection will never be destroyed or replaced by anyone. As for whether Jessica will be able to return to my adoptive parents' home, that will depend on her own fate.